Do you wonder if others are dealing with the same project management challenges as you? Not sure where to turn for guidance and leadership? Office hours are in session as we discuss project management and PMOs with global leaders, hearing their story and learning their secrets to success. Our goal is to empower you and help you elevate your PMO and project management career to new heights. Welcome back to Project Management Office Hours with your host, PMO Joe.
Welcome, everyone, to Project Management Office Hours. We're the #1 live project management radio show in the U.S., broadcasting to you from the Phoenix Business Radio X studios in Tempe, Arizona. I'm your host, PMO Joe, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking project management. We're at a special time today because we have our guest joining us from Australia, and we'll introduce her in a moment to everyone. I just want to take a moment to talk about the new global community site, the PMO Leader, which is now live. You can visit it at www.thepmoleader.com. And for the first time in our industry, there is a platform that brings together the producers and consumers within our industry. So if we think the coaches, all the authors, bloggers, podcasters, consultants, speakers, technology and solution firms, trainers, who are out there producing content and helping all of us advance our careers. And we're partnering them with all the practitioners, the agilists, the project managers, coordinators, PMO leaders, strategy realization offices, the value management office, team members, stakeholders. They've never had a marketplace to be able to collectively come together and conduct business and to collaborate. So we've created it. The PMO Leader site is a global site. We went live on January 7th. We have a hard launch where we're going to have a big promotion coming up on April 2nd. And between now and April, we're adding new content. We're adding new training. We're adding new podcasts, new blogs, new technology vendors, consultants, and speakers, and more. So please join us. Become a member. We are one world, and we're forming one community. Also want to thank our sponsor of our show, the PMO Squad. They're the premier PMO consulting firm in the United States, offering PMO as a service, agile and project management resources, PMO consulting, and training for all of your delivery needs. You can learn more about the PMO Squad by visiting www.thepmosquad.com. Finally, a reminder to everyone to visit projectmanagementofficehours.com to see all of our upcoming episodes and learn about the past shows we have. We've got a great lineup coming up later this year and invite everybody to go check out our show. So for today, I am super excited. We have Amireh Amirmazaheri joining us from Sydney, Australia. Thank you, Amireh, so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me today.
If you could take a moment just to say hello to the audience and introduce yourself to them so they can get to know you a little bit better.
Hello, good morning from Sydney. I think it's going to be good afternoon the other side of the world, or good night in the other side of the world. It's a huge pleasure to be in Joe's show for me for the first time. And I hope you guys will enjoy the show today. I have a lot to share with you.
Yes, I am eager to hear your story. So let's talk project management. You know, we got introduced, I don't know, and had a conversation maybe a month or so ago, and I was fascinated. I didn't know you very well. I had seen you on LinkedIn and social media and some of your posts and all that stuff. But as we had our conversation, I was fascinated by your journey, your personal journey that you've taken. It's quite the story. Can you please share with us and let us know all that you've gone through?
Sure. Thank you, Joe. Actually, as I said, I came to your show with a kind of a deal with myself to get myself out of my comfort zone and being open and talk about my journey and my story, my dreams, and talk about what makes me during these XYZ years. I'm not going to tell you how old I am anyway. I'm originally from Iran, the city of Tehran, and I'm born in a family of 5 with 2 brothers. my birthday is actually 5 months before Iran Revolution. So my kiddish time was all after the revolution and then the new regime come across. And then I grew up, when I was a kid, when I went to the school, I grew up at the time of the war between Iran and Iraq. My teenager time went through after the war. And I went to university when there were no internet, no mobile phone. And when I was graduating from the university, that was the time that I saw internet and the mobile phone. So I always say that we are very fortunate that we saw a lot of things that happened in the history during our life in this world. And then after that, it was a big journey of moving from a job to the other job. I had some entrepreneurial experiences, which I go through it in detail later. And then I moved to Australia in 2008. And now I'm living in Sydney. I gave a birth to a beautiful girl last year, 23rd of March, exactly the day that the lockdown started in Australia. And I'm married to an Australian guy who is my everything in my life. And I'm really, really happy and fortunate to have him in my life. I'm the owner and the founder of PMO Solutions, which I will talk about it later as well. Mainly the reason that we have the PMO Solutions here. And we are looking forward to have a better 2021 in comparison to last year.
Yes, I certainly hope so. And, I don't know how many of our listeners, if any of our listeners, can relate to growing up in the midst of a revolution and then a war with a neighboring country. I know I can't. I don't even know how to put that into perspective. What can you share for what life is like during the midst of a revolution? What is, the beginning of that? Obviously, you're a newborn; you don't really remember it, but you grew up, and when that was normal, right? That's all you knew.
Yeah, exactly. It was. It made me thinking because my baby is born from the first day of the COVID. And there are lots of other changes that is going to be normal for her in her life. And I was thinking of like my own life because I haven't seen Iran before the revolution. But I got the consequences of it because my dad was actually he's graduated from Pennsylvania University and he was working for IBM in Tehran. And after the revolution, he didn't have a job. And he couldn't find a job because he was a computer engineer. And my mom was a teacher. He had a newborn baby. There were lots of restrictions. They couldn't go out of the house for a specific timing. She couldn't have access to her family easily, even though they were living in the same city. So I'm looking at it like these. When you are growing up in some difficult situation, you learn things differently. With a person, I don't know how my parents' life was before I was born, but I'm sure that it was much easier because my dad had a job anyway. And then he started looking for a job, and then he created his own, completely changed his career to contract management rather than as an engineer. So it was a time that I started crawling and being live as a new person. But then my brother came after 4 years. So it was a beginning of the war between Iran and Iraq. After the revolution, the society moved into the very strong religious culture. And it was because of it was the beginning of it and everybody was excited. The way that they were managing the culture was different. So people were very, very religious. And then my brother came in. I remember that I couldn't go to the daycare. My mom was a teacher. He had another newborn baby, so I was at home. And then in 13 months after, the other brother came. So it was a very busy house. From year 5, when I was 5 years, I had a responsibility of coaching and leading my brothers and taking care of them because we didn't have that much facility or the luxury of having a nanny or being in the daycare on that time. And then I had to be careful about them as well while I was myself a little kid. Then the war started and I was going to the primary school. I'm telling you, Joe, I am a very, very lucky person in comparison with the people who were living in a war zone. At that time, I was living in Tehran. So by the time that I was in year 4 in the school, when I was 8 years old, Saddam and Iraqis didn't get into Tehran. But before that, the war was happening in the cities in the southwest of Iran, which actually made the life of the people very hard. The daily life of a person who is living in a war zone is all full of fear. You are living in your room and in a second you will lose it. There is no guarantee that the day is going the way that you're planning it. So I remember that when Iraqis got to Tehran and they started bombarding the houses, I remember I saw the airplane flying over us. And it was a time that we had they call it like a alert. I'm sure that you've seen it in the film.
Yeah.
That it's a big siren, and then people are trying to get into the safe area or a safe point, and then you're hearing that the bombs are coming. As a 8 years old, our primary school had a very good system that we had some. Like leaders, when the siren was happening, we were responsible to take care of the younger kids in the school. And I had almost about 10 kids in my squad. So I had to make sure that all of them are there, and I had to take them into the safe room or safe area that they had it. And then they stopped the schools, so we couldn't go to the school for almost about a year. We were homeschooling, but the homeschooling wasn't like during the COVID. We didn't have any online courses. There were no internet. There were nothing like that. So my mom was a teacher, so she was schooling us at home. And then we had to make it up during the summer holiday when we could go to the school and it was safer. One of my auntie's house was attacked by a bomb. The neighbor in the front of their houses, and like she was pregnant, but thankfully the baby was okay. But she was frightened very, very badly. So as I'm saying is, when it's the war, there is nothing predictable. So you're just fighting to be alive, to have your life, and then saving your children, your property, whatever you have. And you can see that the prioritization is very important because you want to save and save the things that are higher priority for you. You give up easily on lots of stuff. This situation connects people together strongly because all of them are in the same situation, so they feel each other much better and they connect to each other better. When the bomb is coming, there is no time to say it's a woman or it's a man, it's a black or a white. There is no time. You are just trying to survive in the situation. So it was, when I'm looking at it now, when I am now XYZ years old, I'm looking at it like I learned a lot. I experienced the terrible things. Now, even I really don't like fireworks.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It is exciting, but I really don't like it. Even in my household, we don't have any loud noise. So, there are some consequences, even though I'm saying I am a very lucky person because I was living very far from the war zone. But there are still lots of consequences. And I'm seeing it in the kids now at the moment in the other countries that they are struggling with, Syria, Yemen, or any other places that there is a war. The war is bad. The war is very bad. As a person, as a human, we should stop it anyway, anyhow, with whatever we can. We should stop it because it's not only this generation, it's a future generation that's getting the consequences. So that makes my reason for life, for stopping the war, stopping this kind of wasteful, useless things that are happening between the people by educating them. Because I believe that if people are educated, not going to the school, not going to the university, but being aware of how to choose between good and bad, the war would not happen. So yeah, that was the main thing from the war period. As I'm saying, is it's a hard situation, but you learn a lot when it's a hard situation. We learn to create our own games because I had my brothers as well. I used to create the games for them. So actually those ideas now helping me a lot. And then it made me very creative. We learned to paint at home. So we were lucky to have a painting tutor at home. So it was very fortunate to that situation because we were all very close together. It's actually embraced the innovation and creativity to us to learn how to use a towel and like entertain ourselves for 3 hours with one towel,
Well,
so,
you can see the different influences of that time of your life. Your father obviously becoming entrepreneurial, and now you own your own company, and your mom as a teacher, and you coach and teach others on how to do things. It's to your point, there's a horrible situation that war should, of course, be avoided, and the human impact of that war.
yes.
But you've been able to take a bad situation with personal character growth and development, be able to use that now in your professional career. Also, we've had Elise Stevens on the show previously, and she talked about her Celebrating Women in Project Management initiative. And again, right, wrong, or indifferent, the perception that me as a white man sitting in Phoenix, Arizona in the United States has about women in the country of Iran. Iran was a very progressive country before the revolution, but a very restrictive country after the revolution. What can you share of life for a woman in that situation, in that environment? Were there any learnings and takeaways and experiences that you had from that you can share?
Yes, and I want to use this situation to hats off to all the women who are living in Iran, who are living in Saudi Arabia, who are living in the restricted countries, and they don't give up. They fight and they believe on their values and still moving forward and then sticking to their values and fight for it. Now, I'm telling you, it's not easy to be a woman in Iran because even the rules are not with you. This is very hard to move the ladders in the organization to be a manager or a director. We had very, very ups and downs situation. When I started my career, I started as an engineer, system engineer in one of the universities. And then when I moved to the oil company, which I had a very good manager, which I really like. I named him. He was Mr. Mortazavi. He was a young person. He's a guy from Sharif University, one of the top universities in Iran. At that time, because we were all young, we were empowering each other. We were helping each other to move forward and growing up. And I promoted to IT manager at that time for that oil and industrial energy company. But what happened after Ahmadinejad was a president? All the managers from the top layer was sacked, and one of the women were target for it. And they sacked me because you're a woman and you're young. But it's not easy. It's you have to have a job in the street, even though if you don't choose it. It's the culture. In terms of the culture is not so strong in terms of supporting women. But now I can say that women in Iran now are moving forward. They are presenting their values. We have lots of successful women from Iran. I can name you Mona, Hannah, Azar, all of them. Hats off to all of them for all of the efforts that they've done to show that it is happening and it is possible. And there are lots of women still in the jail in Iran because they raise their voice and they fight for it.
Well, also, let's add your name to the list of strong Iranian women to salute, because here you are giving voice to all of them. They may not have that voice today, but here you are live on a global platform sharing your story to make sure that their lives and those who come after them will be better. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
So let's fast forward to 2008, and you come to Australia.
Yes.
And eventually you start PMO Solutions, your own company. I mean, how did that? Was that an accident? Did you intentionally set out to start your own company? Why did that happen?
That's a good one. When I came to Australia in 2006, I came from a very Western culture from a very Eastern culture to a very Western culture. Everything was different. I came over here when I was young and I was new to the country. I had a very good plan that I'm going to do this, do that, go there. And then when I came over here, I said, oh no, none of those plans is going to work, because I had a very good name in the industry. When I was in Iran, I didn't need to present myself or send a resume to anywhere. Now I came to a country that nobody knew me. The language is different. Even the side of driving is different. So everything was different, and I was by my own. So that was hard. Like even I remember I was in a Newcrest project. Before I go there, I tell you how I found a job. When I was in Iran, I was working for Primavera Australia. Okay. And then when I came over to Australia, Primavera Australia, they advised me to, Primavera Global, they advised me to Primavera Australia. I have to say thank you to Mr. Farahani to introduce me to Primavera Australia. And amazing, beautiful, my first manager in Australia, Wayne Wilson, who actually I lost him on Christmas Day last year because of the brain cancer, was my first boss in Australia, who empowered me and who believed on me. When I went to his office, I couldn't speak English very well. I was shaking. I was very shy, very different, but he believed on me and he accepted me in his team. And I owe him a lot because of the support that he gave me during this journey. I can't tell you, after 2 months, I was in front of the classroom and I was teaching project management to the people with this English.
Yes. How exciting.
Yeah, it was very good. Or even, in our language, we speak Farsi in Iran and we write from right to left. So I was assigned to a project for Newcrest mining. I was in their side and my job was to map the progress that the processes that they have. I mapped the process from right to left, and I presented them to them. Yes. Yeah, and I presented them on the board to them, and then they were looking at me and looking at the board, and they couldn't understand what I'm talking about. And they said, "But it should start from left to right." And I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. So the adoption timing is very different. Or they were doing some explosion and I was sitting in the side in one of the connects. And because one of the disaster in Iran is earthquake, and they teach us when the earthquake is happening, you should jump under the table. So they did the explosion, the connects started shaking and I jumped under the table and they were looking at me, what's going on with you? You're still there. You're still, your mind is still, it's all that I'm going to use a point like change management. It's all about changing your mindset, thinking English, acting English, and learning about the environment that you're in it. I started teaching to people, and my English wasn't that good to convey the message. But because I had a lot of teaching experience back to my own country, especially before I go to university. My dad didn't let me to go to any preparation course, so he told me, if you want to learn, start teaching. So I started teaching to learn more, to get to the university. So when I stood up in front of the class teaching project management, I knew the content very well, but I was thinking about the way that I can convey the message. And because I do watercolor and painting, so I started using painting to convey the message to the people in my class. And it created lots of fun and engaged them a lot by creating like a scribe board and bringing some funny characters on the board. So these kind of like ideas of coming, there would be another way of teaching. There would be another way of presenting. There would be another way of doing the stuff. There would be some other way that you can simplify the things. Made me thinking of, why don't you create something or the opportunity for the other people to do the things in another way? So when I was working for Sydney Water, I started reading the books and changing my mindset from an employee to the business owner. And then when I was prepared, I started PMO Solutions. And the reason of the PMO Solution is I was looking at independency. I was looking at bringing some new idea and another way of working. Because as you know, project management is project management. I don't know how much you can say, project management is that or do, but the thing that makes us different is the way that we do the stuff. Like the basketball, the rule of the basketball is still the same. So you cannot carry the ball running on the court, or the points that you're getting are still the same. What makes the players different is the way that they play the game.
Yes.
And I'm using that terminology for project management and PMO as well in PMO Solutions.
Hey, I've got that same mindset. Obviously, I started the PMO Squad, and it's the same thing, right? Is we're all, let me say it a different way. I'm speaking at PMI Phoenix in a couple of Fridays about project management and comparing it to making a pizza. Because every pizza that you order from a restaurant is unique and is made per order, and just like a project is. And you have to make the dough and then get the cheese and then get the toppings and you have to cook it. And then you come out and you serve it and we eat it and we go back to that restaurant if it went well. And that's exactly what we do with a project, right? So as you said, we all do project management, but how we do it, right? Each pizza place or each restaurant is different. And we only go to the ones that we like the way they make their pizzas, even though they're all making pizzas. So it's the same with our project management consulting firms, right? We're both doing the same thing. You're in Australia, I'm in the United States, and we have our own unique way to do it, but we all have our own customers who like the way we make our pizza, right?
Yes.
And so let me ask, getting back into the personal side of this, you share this amazing story of your upbringing in Iran, horrific tragedies of war and the impact on your life. At any point after you started your company, did you just have a moment of silence within yourself to be able to say, look where I am now today and where I started, and just think how amazing a journey that was for you?
Yeah, of course. Every day is like how amazing the journey is, how amazing the change is. Like I can see that how I change in different points of my life. When I was a kid, when I was in university, when I came to Australia, I'm completely different of the person when I came to Australia. When I'm married to Australian guy, and now when I'm a mom, very different journey. Yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm not saying I've done a very specific in comparison with other women who are actually doing a lot of good job. I see myself as a very normal citizen, but for myself, that journey was very amusing, and I'm happy with it. I'm very proud of PMO Solutions. The people who are working in PMO Solutions are making it better. We had very good consultants, very good crew that working with us. And then the way that we are working is interesting. As I mentioned, that is a fusion of art, technology, and PMO. Which, I was listening to Billy, and then Billy is bringing music to project management.
I was just about to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, it's just another way to approach it. So, yes, tell us more about this art in project management.
Yeah, it was, and I was listening to Billy and said, well done, Billy. I have art into project management, so we should have a chat. As I said, because I came to Australia and my English wasn't that great. For teaching people in the classroom and being a very good instructor, I use my art side of my life. And that is all the credit to go to my dad, because he believed that you should have not only educational aspect, also art aspect and the sport aspect. So, as I said, I do watercolor. So I learned how to describe and inscribe the things for the people to make it easier. Have you ever seen that scribe boards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we use that technique and the cartoon technique for delivering the services. Like, for example, for one of our clients at Bendigo Council in Victoria, we designed them a roadmap for their PMO, and we created a poster as a cartoon poster to giving it to the PMO people, and they used to that poster to communicate with their stakeholders to show them where they are, where they're going to be in 6 months, and where they're going to be in 12 months, and what are they targeting. We created characters in the cartoon that they are lost in the jungle. Everybody is going somewhere, and then in the 6 months they're all around the fire. So we created the story with that poster, aligned with a very structural roadmap that we created for them. And also we add technology into it. This is all about how we are doing the things and how we are delivering the service, how we are designing our service. So I have two arms in my team. One arm are the technology people. So I have developers to come in to the business and then find out how easy they can make the life of the project manager or the PMO people to automate or digitalize the way that they do the job. Like, even it's coming from a very simple structure formulation in Excel spreadsheet, or writing a mini application or a machine learning suite to learn about what they're doing and then give them the information.
Mm-hmm.
We mix this together for connecting both of this side into the good knowledge area and the professional experience in PMO space. So that is actually why when the art came into the picture, then I started teaching, and my English wasn't that good.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Project management isn't necessarily thought of as a creative profession. It's more technical in mindset, but the reality is, right, every project is unique. So we should be having a creative way to go through, even though we have a consistent process usually, there has to be a creative approach to it, because if we treat all projects the same, we're probably not going to get very good results on those projects. So I love to hear, Billy Mwape talking about music and project management, and you with your art and project management. It gives me creativity to think, what can I be doing to try a different approach?
Maybe cooking.
That's right. Pizza. The pizzas. That's right. Well, yeah, we'll create the Project Management Culinary Institute or something like that.
So every milestone you are meeting, you're gonna order something like the milestone initiation milestone, pizza. The finalization milestones are all cakes and celebrations.
Yes, let's have some ice cream. That sounds good to me.
Ice cream milestones.
So another thing that has impacted all of us globally in 2020 and still now is COVID, of course. We have some horrific COVID numbers in the United States, and I know Australia's had some fairly rigid lockdowns because of COVID. But what has been the impact to the PMO there in Australia because of what's happening with COVID?
I should say good on Australian government in managing COVID for last year, but almost about 600,000 Australians lost their job in April 2020. The highest unemployment they projected was around early March, April in Australia, which was a big impact into the society. Based on my studies, because I did, regard to our discussion, I did some research about finding out how COVID impacted the workforce in Australia. And then I've been moving to the PMO space for sure. But it shows that 1 in 4 Aussies are unsure they have the skills needed for the workforce of the future. So there are people that they are changing their career now. Almost about 23% of people think that they are not fit for the future jobs. 28% of them are learning a new skills, and 11% are already using time at home to learn something new. I could see that there are lots of new businesses are rising, and people are trying to set up their own businesses as well. And 17% are eager to learn skills to progress their career. So they are getting lots of different skills set up, like lots of different roles are coming. But the top in demand skills are innovation and creativity, digital and data literacy. It's now very important, as you know. If it wasn't COVID, as Billy said, we weren't connected like this, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that emotional intelligence is coming to the picture more stronger than before. Constant curiosity and adaptability is very important. This is some of the things that the PMO can create and embrace in the business, like critical thinking, visual leadership, and storytelling are the new skills that people should go and learn, especially visual leadership and storytelling for PMO people, because at the end of the day, PMO managers and the PMO leaders are the people who are creating the culture, who are enabling success in the business, and they are leading the business to achieve their goals. It's very important to learn how virtually leading people in this journey after the COVID, because people are now experiencing a lot of ups and downs. The other thing I was reading in Harvard Business Review about impact of COVID to the workforce was now businesses are not managing people, they are managing life experiences. They're getting more involved in the life experiences. As we were talking before the preparation, sometimes you should sit in the meeting with your baby in your arms, right? Or I'm sitting in this live, you can hear the birds singing outside, or the dog is barking. So it's now the life experiences are coming into the work experiences more. The other thing that is coming into the picture from the business side, which actually makes me a little bit sad, was the gender gap is increasing. It's coming from the research that Gartner has done. So the managers believe that people who are working from the office are working more, which I would like to question this.
Yeah, I think I do more work working from home.
Yeah, exactly. I can see my husband and he's working much, much more.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's working in the office, by the way, but it's we have to think about it as a leader, as a manager, that this should not be the case. And because mainly men are choosing to work from the office and women are willing to work from home, now the differences between the salaries and the incomes the gap is getting bigger. And I think it is the job of the influencers of bringing the value of working from home into the picture. Again, the PMOs supporting the businesses, especially if they are involved in HR process for recruiting. It's very important to emphasize that and making the equal pattern in terms of the professionality rather than working from home or working from the office.
Yeah,
Or the other thing is,
I think I said that's something I hadn't considered before. But if we think several decades ago, kind of the traditional family structure was the man would go to work and the mom would stay home with the children. And now we have children at home because the schools are closed.
yes,
So if one of the parents has to stay home, is the family choosing to have a mom stay home with the dad, as you mentioned, going to the office? Are we taking a step backward in the family structure and the family dynamic? It's an interesting concept. I had never really considered or thought about that, but certainly something that we should keep an eye on.
yes, yeah, exactly, and it's very important, like especially for the leaders, and I'm saying influencers, to create that culture. The other thing that I was seeing, because I organize PMO Sydney meetup. It's a community, our membership, which lovely Sandra Arp started that community, and because she was moving to Singapore, I took it over, and then I'm managing it now for about 3-4 years. So we started our sessions were face to face before, and then because of the COVID, we moved to online sessions. And now I'm looking around and then seeing, people expecting to have online sessions for free. The thing is, like, guys, if a person is a speaker and is putting time to teach you something that has value, that is still spending time, even though it's not flesh in front of you as a person, but you're still learning from that person. And now I can see that people believe everything virtual is free, or even if you have a training virtual, they expect to be free, which is kind of like a cultural shift that needs to be to come across. The ethical concept is coming as well, like because of the lots of environment that we are working, the ethics of using these environments and platforms are very important. Like, for example, it's very important, like when we are writing an email, we are following the specific ethical things, like we are not writing the email with bold words, or we are not putting the message of the email into the subject line. So again, digital platform has the ethical behavior as well, like when to leave the voice messages, when to do the chat, respecting the status that the people have in their team or their Slack or any chat. So these are some kind of like the things that coming across, the new culture, the new professional ethic coming across after the COVID, which again, as I'm saying, as a PMO person, we should be aware of that and then embrace it in the company and creating that value in the company. The other thing that was very interesting, the social media is coming on board as well. People are on social media. Lots of businesses are now on the social media, and they have to be careful about it. The performance evaluation method is different. I think I was listening to a podcast about the career after COVID. That were talking about HR managers are changing their method and processes very much. The top 10 growing industries are the biotech, life science, cybersecurity, healthcare, robotic, agriculture. I'm actually reading it from the research that I've done. Renewable energy, sustainability and wellness, grocery delivery, tech, and digital entertainment. It was very interesting that people were saying whatever business that you have has an E at the beginning is going to be across e-fitness, e-nutrition, e.
Yeah.
And for people who are looking for a job in the new era, including myself, the communication, the clear and authentic communication is very important. You should be able to talk with people. You should be able to tell the story. Be ready for the question that how did you handle yourself during the COVID? It's very important to see how did you adapt yourself with the situation.
Yeah, so it's the creation of a new normal, right? When we first went through, I think, March through June of last year, everybody was very reactive to let's build the infrastructure to work from home. And then the second half of the year, everybody said, what's next year going to look like? What's the new normal? Well, I think we found out that the new normal it's still what it is, right? I mean, it hasn't changed, and it's actually going to stay this way.
Yes, exactly. And then as PMO people, because our job in the company mainly is leading and enabling and facilitating. So we should be aware of these changes. We should be aware of what people are going through. The limitation is not only this location is now time for people. So we should be aware of that when we are setting up the way of working, managing the projects. So as you said, the new normal, the new culture, the new ethic, many, many changes, and we should be adaptable. As I'm telling you, like as a person, is a new mom in this COVID, it was very hard. I'm telling you to think about it. The week before delivery, I was a business owner who planned the business based on whatever was going. And then I delivered a baby. I have a newborn baby in my hand. I have no clue, without any instruction.
I have four. Welcome to that world. Where's the instruction book?
Exactly. Where's the button? That they said there is a button we can put them to sleep, right? So for me, it was kind of a big shock of having a new baby, being a mom, and having a business that is going through this situation. We lost 5 projects because of COVID. The strategy change, but we were lucky as well of getting 2 projects during this timing as well. But as I'm saying, like, is very different. So we have to read, we have to trust the statistics and learn how we can help the businesses to be better and achieve what they want to achieve as PMO leaders in this time.
Yeah, shifting gears slightly, but kind of on the same thing, because, here in the United States, it's a bit of a historic day today. We have a new president, and we had an inauguration, and the theme really for the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency is unity, right? Yes. And here I am talking to a woman business leader in Australia with a journey from Iran, and we are talking about division in the United States and how we have to have unity, but that's what the premise is for the PMO Leader site, right? Creating a global community where we have unity and we can come together. But you and I are also both involved in the PMO Global Alliance, which is another organization.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yes. So share a little bit of your involvement with the PMO Global Alliance and how that's important to you as well.
PMO Global Alliance is amazing opportunity to work with, especially America. A man of ideas, a man is very smart. He knows PMO very well, and he looks at the PMO in another way, and from the another angle. Very innovative way of managing a PMO and designing the PMO. PMO Global Alliance is very important for me as you know, PMO Solutions is the prime partner of PMO Global Alliances in Australia. I started as a chief project officer for PMO Global Alliance on March, which my main responsibility is to make the things happen.
Yes.
So it's a great community with the objective of creating that unity and connection between all the PMO leaders around the world. Sharing the knowledge and educating and upskilling the PMOs. And as I can see, the values are very aligned with each other, because I have the small community in comparison to PMO Global Community, Global Alliance in Australia. So I can connect them into the other people around the world and learning from other PMO professionals around the world. I don't know the PMO manager in a gas company in South Africa, what kind of challenges that person is going through. Or I don't know if you did the judging for Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
PMO. I really love their story. Like the way that they are defining PMO in the business was very cool. So I see that the PMO Global Award is one of the greatest opportunities for people to learn from each other and telling the stories of the different companies, because PMO is not prescriptive, and you are going to a new company. You need to adopt yourself first and learn about that company to be able to help them. It's like migration. I always, when I'm talking in my classroom, I say migrants are very good PMO people because their adaptability is very high. And the first thing that you do when you go to a new country to live is learning their language. So when you're going to a company, you're learning their language. And PMO Global Award is creating that opportunity that you learn the language of the different businesses through the case studies that you're judging, or the other opportunities that they have, like a PMO CP as a PMO certified practitioner. And I can say the value that the PMO Global Alliance is adding to the PMO community is amazing. Like connecting people from different parts of the world together and making that unity. And I can see that the amazing job that Laura is doing, the amazing job you are doing, Elise is doing, all of these efforts are all the same, going to the same point with PMO Global Alliance, with AI PMO as well, like to knowledge, to upskill PMO people, to help them to learn more and to help them to share the knowledge and experience. That makes PMOs better. Look at it like 9 years ago when PMO was in a very, very start point. It was an administrator in the business. Now we are talking about the PMOs are involving in a strategy decision making. So how did it happen? It happened because people are sharing their stories, they're sharing their knowledge, they're sharing their experiences with each other. Like Andy Jordan is one of the great guys in PMO space. He's sharing a lot of his knowledge. Peter Taylor, Philip, these are Fatima, these are all good people that are coming and sharing this. And PMO Global Alliance is creating that platform for it, which is, I really love it. First of all, I enjoy working with America a lot. It's actually the best time is when I'm working with him.
He doesn't have enough energy, though, right? He needs to get more energy.
Our board meeting is 11 p.m. in Sydney time. So they had me in a meeting sometimes like completely destroyed. So I was thinking, you know what? I came here, my baby's just sleeping, and she's only sleeping during the board meeting. And after that, I have to feed her and then going again through the process. But I loved it. I always love it. And I really appreciate it.
It's a great organization. America does a fantastic job, and all the other volunteers that work within that organization. It's the PMO Global Awards. It's the only awards and concept like that anywhere on the planet.
Yes,
and I'm so proud to be a part of that and be a judge in that. And of course, we've got the PMO Global Survey, which I'm managing director of on, and I'm late. I was supposed to have the survey results out to everybody in December, and I'm late. So I'm working on it now. Hopefully we can get this in the next week or two out by January.
Count on me on it if you need any help.
One is we're getting close to the end of our time, and it's gone by so fast, of course, as it always does. We've talked a lot about the past and your journey and how you've gotten to where you're going. But what about the future? What's your dream? What's next?
My dream is a world without a war. And as I said, it will happen if we can educate people, if we can create that platform that people can share the knowledge and lesson learn their stories. That is my dream. I don't know if it's going to be like Elon Musk is saying, I don't know if I'm going to be alive when people are traveling to Mars, but I don't know if I'm going to be alive if there is a world without a war, without hate, without racism, without all of these things. But my 2 cents participation is to create that education and building a school and creating that environment that kids can study, can learn, can thrive, and can flourish. One of the things that we do, which I'm really proud in PMO Solution, is we support building the schools.
Mm.
I'm inspired with a lady who built a school in Iran. So far, he built 200 schools in the very like poor areas, which now we can hear that some of the students from those schools are now going to universities, which is great. I love to be able to build a school for those places that are affected by war, Syria, Iran, Iraq, or any other like Azerbaijan, and any other places that the kids are lonely and left. Because if they learn what to choose, they will learn to be a good person and make the world a better place to live, rather than going into the terrorism. So if we can educate people, so if any of us, with me, create that opportunity anytime that I can for people to share their knowledge and learn from each other, that's the time that my dream is coming to true. Helping people, mentoring people. And for that, I have to learn myself more. I have to keep myself positive. I have to keep myself up on the field and be active, right? I had my moments after the birth, after Jasmine's birthday, very downtime, very unmotivated. I got lots of rejection in the job. So I was like, you know what? I'm just don't care. I want to close all the doors in the world and be with Jasmine alone. But then I was thinking like, come on, you can do something. You're still living, right?
Yeah.
You still have the fortune to live. So yeah, the dream is to make the world a better place to live. It sounds a little bit.
Well, John Lennon wrote a song about that one day, and if we can imagine a world with no wars, and I think if to get enough people who are dreamers and believers, that we could make it happen. And,
yes.
And getting you on platforms to be able to talk about your experiences, because there's a certain population of us here in the United States, for instance, who've not had to experience that, so we don't get the firsthand knowledge. It's been a long time, right, since America's been in a war, and a war like a Vietnam War or a World War. So I'm with you. Sign me up any way I can contribute. I'm on board. I have a son about to enter the Navy, and it would be fantastic if he could do his time in a war-free period and not have to worry about that as a parent.
Yeah, exactly. I pray for it every second. I even cannot talk. My husband doesn't have that idea too, and I'm telling him, like, you're born in a very peaceful area. So yeah, I want every single person who is listening to think about it. What you can do today to help a person to learn one thing more. What you can do to yourself to learn something more, and being able to educate and lead another people to the better position. So if every single of us do that, then something good will happen.
Well, Amireh, thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your journey and your dreams with us. How can people get in touch with you if they want to connect after the show, or is there anything that you have coming up that you'd like to share with everybody?
Thank you very much, you gave me this opportunity and this platform. I'm feeling very relieved and very well after coming out of my safe zone. But people, I'm easy. You can search me in Google with Amireh Amirmazaheri. There is another person with that long family name, a matching name. I'm in LinkedIn. My profile is under Amireh_A. You can connect with us through PMO Solutions at www.pmosol.com. Social media, LinkedIn specifically, is my go-to and connection. You'll enjoy.
Well, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners around the world. Please be sure to visit projectmanagementofficehours.com and see all the great shows that we've had in the past and the ones we have upcoming. We have a great schedule of live chats scheduled with industry leaders from around the world. Confirmed already for the next, almost halfway through the year, we have Bruce Gay, Fatima Abuchi, who you had mentioned, Bill Dow, Frank Salatis, Jennifer Bridges and David Noor, Stuart Easton, who will be a repeat guest of ours from the UK, and David Barrett. So I'm really looking forward to all of those shows. We also have a lot of feelers out for folks. So if you have an interest of being on the show the second half of the year, let me know and we'll get you scheduled.
And
Also,
I think that PMO Leader platform that you are developing as well is another good opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
And people around, we will have the PMO Sydney meetup sessions as well. So the PMO Sydney meetup is on the meetup platform. I will post the future sessions in LinkedIn as well.
And absolutely. So if you're in the Sydney area, certainly get together and connect and continue.
Now we are global.
Oh, global even.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone, we can get together everywhere.
Yes.
A reminder that all these shows we're recording these, so they're available for folks to subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice, whether it's Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, whatever it may be. And thank you to our sponsors, the PMO Squad. Visit thepmosquad.com to learn more about the purpose-driven PMO and all of their project management services. That's it for now. Office hours are closed. Until next time, I'm PMO Joe, and you've been listening to Project Management Office Hours.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Project Management Office Hours with PMO Joe. You're not alone in your project management journey. We're here to help you achieve your goals. Subscribe to Project Management Office Hours on your favorite podcast platform to catch all of our episodes and hear industry leaders share their story and secrets to success.